Sclerotinia can be a real problem to carrot growers, affecting both yield and quality, and sometimes leading to crop rejection. Integrated control using both cultural and chemical control methods is moving forward, with new techniques becoming available to growers.
What we're doing in this field today is clipping the edge of the beds, and the reason for that is that certainly with varieties like Nairobi, at this stage of the season they tend to flop over, as you can see, and create quite a lot of disease risk underneath the lodge foliage. We've looked at various timings. Generally the first timing of the clipping is the end of July, beginning of August. And then we then looked at coming in again in early September for a second cutting, but we think we get most of the benefit from this first cutting. There's quite a bit of foliage which is cut as we clip at this stage. What happens to the foliage when it drops into the bottom of the wheeling is that after a few dry days it starts to dry up and becomes a brown mat in the bottom, and that's quite important because there is then a gap between the side of the carrot bed and the dried up foliage, which prevents any disease infection from there. Because what usually happens with Nairobi, once it's flopped over, a lot of the foliage underneath then becomes rotten. The Sclerotinia will then work up the stem and into the bed. We still do find that we get some infection in the middle of the bed. 3 years ago, in conjunction with BASF, Root Water manufactured a single bed system, which we trialled over the last 3 years. This year we've actually gone to the 3-bed system.
The reason BASF are involved in this project is because we like to feel that we are helping to try and provide solutions. We know Sclerotinia can be a big problem for carrot producers. We currently have our fungicide Signum, which is been shown to be very effective against Sclerotinia. However, generally speaking, its use is earlier in the season, before the carrot crop is really met between the rows. And we're particularly keen to be working with Howard Hines and Root Water in this machine because we see this as being a very interesting cultural approach to controlling Sclerotinia.
You can see from the speed of the operation that the system can be run quite quick. Today we're running about 10 kilometers per hour, but you could even go quicker than that. The discs are purely relying on the forward speed of the tractor. There's no hydraulics involved, so it's quite a simple operation. So we think 200 or 300 acres a day should be possible with the system. So the machine is a disc which runs a few inches into the soil. And the idea is to position it on the edge of the bed away from the carrots. On the outer beds there is a pivoting action on this system, so it should cope with some sort of slope on the field. And there is you can see some spring-loaded suspension on the back of it as well. So far we haven't seen, from those trials where we've clipped it even 3 times, we haven't seen any effect on yield. It seems to keep the same yield. The one thing we do think is that it may even up the size of the root across the bed, because you're allowing more daylight into the side which is lodged over, where generally you get small roots because there's not enough airflow through the crop.
We're very excited by this because we see this as being a very practical solution. It's fairly simple in concept but very effective. We've seen some very positive results in terms of the level of control it's bringing.
Results where we've compared in the same field of non-clipped areas with clipped has generally been, in each year, has been a 50% reduction in the amount of Sclerotinia we're seeing. What we're looking at trialling in the future is to actually grow the carrots on a ridge idea like they do in Europe and also in Canada, so that we can then clip either side of the either twin or triple rows of the carrots, and this would then allow the air movement to go through the middle of the bed as well.
We see this as an additional integrated approach to controlling Sclerotinia, which we feel is important to give a whole package of tools to the grower.